great
Yeah.
marketing
It's the story.
has a story. Which brings us back, like, how do you create that story for something so boring, such as, for example, I don't know, like a sales outreach software or something like that?
Well, you have to have the person creating the story is not allowed to believe it's boring. That's
Well,
number
that's
one.
true. Yeah.
So if you're a marketer and you're wondering, how do I turn my boring product into a compelling story, then either you need to lean in and get curious about your buyers and learn about their real day. Like, it affects people. It affects people's livelihoods, whatever you're selling. If it does the job that it says it does on the tin, then it really matters to someone. And you either aren't curious enough about that person, or it's just not for you, which is also fine. But you should probably go find like a product to market that you can be passionate about. Because the story isn't meant to be exciting to everybody. I don't care about Nike's racing heritage or the fact that they like invented the sneaker or whatever. I have not read Phil Knight's book. I don't care. I need a shoe that feels comfortable.
Yeah.
Some people really care, and it gives them a leg to stand on when it comes to like putting their logo on a Super Bowl ad. But anyway, there is a really great framework that I like, that I didn't come up with. I think his name is Dave. I'm going to get the name wrong. David Miller. Building a Story Brand. Basically, steal it from Star Wars. So if your customer, you're first of all, you're not the hero. Your customer is Luke Skywalker. They're the hero. They do need your help. And they have two battles to fight. They're going to fight the dark side, which is like the way that they live. They can either choose to live in a noble, good way, or they can live and work, like do whatever job they're trying to do in sort of like a hacky black hat way. And that exists for whatever product you're trying to sell. And they also have like a specific thing that they're trying to achieve. They need to blow up the Death Star. That's a very tangible outcome they need to achieve. They need two things for that. Number one, they need someone to show them the way. They need someone to teach them to use the Force. That's not the dark side. And so you have to have some kind of like knowledge, set of beliefs, tenets, a framework, tips, onboarding. Like, it could be pretty pragmatic, but you have to have something to offer them that's like here's how you do it. And you need to sell them a lightsaber and like teach them to use the lightsaber. So you need to give them more than just your tool. And the lightsaber does not blow up the Death Star, right? The fact that Luke learns to use the Force blows up the Death Star, and he does it. He gets help along the way. And in the analogy, your brand is like Yoda or Obi-Wan. So you're like a helpful advisor who gives tools and knowledge. I think once you kind of like, if you rewrote Star Wars, like literally just rip off the plot and rewrite it with your own tools, your own how-tos, and a description of your hero, your customer, and the big baddie they're fighting, the Darth Vader, the like intangible dark side that they need to defeat, and the tangible Death Star they need to blow up. That's a start. You can do that with ChatGPT in like an hour if you go back and forth a little bit. But you shouldn't do it in a vacuum. You should definitely do it like, so I've done some of this. I've crafted a couple like manifestos that are basically this, like put a stake in the ground, have some strong opinions, shape the narrative, position the company as part of a battle to win a larger fight about good and evil, to make it extra dramatic. And the way that you do it is you talk to your heroes, talk to your customers, talk to your partners, talk to the people who are like the mayor of your company, whoever is in your company that is like extra excited about the product all the time and like way too helpful. You probably want to involve them.
Yep.
They can kind of be your mascot. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of how I've done it before. A good example of this is Mac Redden. He runs ComSoar and has been doing so for years, and it is doing a fantastic job just hitting the story again and again and again and again, being consistent about it. He has a domain set up for it called communityled.com, And it's a short manifesto that is like, look, here's what I believe. And I found some other people who believe the same thing, and they all signed on, and it's got logos and names, and it looks great. And it's just that website, that domain alone doesn't do the job on it by itself, but it is a part of the supporting pillar of the story.
I love this. I love this. And honestly, I think this is one of the most practical conversations I had on B2B storytelling that I had recently. Thanks for that. Tell me, before we jump off, I have a few more questions for you. How are you currently approaching content at Pixies?
How is anybody? I don't know if anybody knows what good looks like anymore.
True.
It's chaotic. We're trying a lot of things. I will say that I feel like every day is an experiment, where I used to feel like I had a playbook that I ran every day. Now it's like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. I do have a couple things that I find myself returning to that help me keep a tenuous grasp on my sanity. But basically, I scrape our gong calls and I drop them in Clay. And then I have a couple AI agent columns in Clay that help extract interesting opinions, statements, comments about like metrics and results, and examples, things like that, and questions. And so I could have automated those into Slack, I guess, but I just log into Clay and sift through that table and kind of look for things that stand out. I'm trying to, because the mechanics of how content gets created, the process is it's level ground now. Everybody can do it. You could go create 100 blog articles about what Pixis does using ChatGPT in 10 minutes if you really wanted to. The most important thing is having inputs to the process that other people can't get. So for me, that's, like I said, coming back to conversations, and I grab those from Gong and slip them in Clay to filter that out and find things. I've got a couple Slack channels where I do the same thing. I'm not exporting. I could, but I just, flick through, find interesting things, tap a person on the shoulder. And a lot of my colleagues work in other parts of the world. So one of the ways, where are you, by the way? Bulgaria?
Serbia.
Serbia. I knew it was down there somewhere.
Crazy about
afternoon.
Yeah, it's afternoon.
I could tell. So I have a 11 Labs AI interviewer link that I send them, and I've trained it to ask good questions, but it's not like magic. It's not great. It just does the basic job. They talk at it. It asks a couple clarifying questions. They hang up whenever they're done, and I get the transcript that I use as it just gives me something different. The content can't be better if it's not different. So that's really what I'm looking for. When I execute content at Pixis, I'm just trying to figure out what can I do that is even different from everything else that already exists. Because I'm not writing about topics that nobody else has talked about before. They've talked about them all the time. But I just need to figure out what we think or how we approach those topics in a different way. So those are the places I look for that.